you, Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. or Madame or Mademoiselle, are damn right. It is the HooperCast. Right, Dustin?
It is the HooperCast.
Heck yeah. Anyway,
that just fizzled out. I thought you were going somewhere.
No, we are the HooperCast. HooperCast on SoundCloud or HooperCast on YouTube. Wherever you are now, there's one other place to find this, and you can go there to get it the other way, whether it's video or audio.
Right.
The video has audio as well, but the audio might not have video.
Right.
By the way, I filed a copyright claim against that dude who stole our show.
Ooh, good.
Yeah, I was looking for something because I was like, I wonder if we've ever talked about Chronicle before on our show. And I Googled our show, and it pulled an episode up, and it wasn't Chronicle, but we were talking about, it was episode 98, whatever that was. And I was listening to it, and then halfway down, I looked down, and I was like, oh, that's not my channel. And I was like, wait a second. And I thought, I clicked on their channel. They have like 60 of our shows just in their uploads.
That's ridiculous.
60 of them. So
dude, we should be entitled to some cash.
And so I was like, and one or two of them, they had more views than the ones that are on our channel.
What?
Like, wait a second.
That's so stupid.
So I clicked on it. I went to YouTube. I was like, guys, this is nuts. And it was like, what's the status of your claim? I was like, copyright infringement. It goes, who does this affect? And there's a little option that says me. I was like, my dad,
me.
You know, and it's like, what's it copyrighted for? And it's like, there's a box that is, someone took my content and re-uploaded it to their own channel. And it's like, okay, we'll stop this. And then they emailed me like 10 minutes later. The video was taken down. I was like, I want you to take the channel down, dude. Right. And it's not just my videos. There's other people's stuff on there too. I can only assume is also stolen content. Oh yeah. This guy's a master thief.
Ooh,
except that he named it the exact same shit as my video. So it's pretty easy to find if you search it.
Right.
God. I just hate that it's showing up on Google searches instead of our channel. That bothers me.
Right.
Anyway.
That's crazy, dude.
Well, presumably we were off last week. So
yes.
we are doubling down. Not only are we going back to closer to the old format with the 45-minute long episodes, but since we were off last week, we're going to just combine those two long ones into this episode probably. Mm-hmm. And so you got 4 little ones last go around, and now you're just going to get all 4 of them in one. Because
why not?
Because although it is no longer March, Dustin, as is our brand to be about 3 or so weeks behind the
current
culture.
trend. Yes.
It was March Madness lately. And
it was.
And neither of us follow basketball.
No.
Physically or in terms of viewership. I don't follow them. They follow me. I don't follow nobody. I saw on the internet there was another bracket going around. People always, nerds always like to feel important during March Madness, and they go, okay, well, what can we fill? But then no one ever gets around to making a bracket because it involves just too much analysis. And when there's analysis to be had, the nerds don't like to do it before the discussion begins. So kudos to whoever built this bracket, because clearly they did all the arguing beforehand, and presumably afterwards they're like, all right, well, someone else will have to have fun. It was very selfless of them. I'm surprised.
Right.
But we've got a bracket here that Dustin and I both filled out. And so we did this. If you guys want to real quick pause the episode and go find this Disney Pixar bracket, someone matched up. What is this? Is that 8? So there's 16 and 16. 16 Disney films and 16 Pixar films.
Yep.
And they seeded them against each other, and then there's a Pixar versus Disney at the end, and then you pick basically your favorite of the 32.
Right.
So Dustin and I did this, and we want to talk about them because Dustin and I, while we reviewed, the recent of maybe these crops of films on the show,
right,
we haven't had an all-out Disney Pixar discussion, and this is probably as close as we'll get, as you guys will get, to hearing me and Dustin talk about the Disney Pixar catalog that we've been doing for years, but now we have a structure.
Yeah.
So Dustin, I'm looking at both of our brackets here. And so we're just going to go down the Disney side first.
Yes. And now, I haven't seen your bracket, but you've seen mine.
I haven't looked at it in detail. I know what your winner is, but I sort of defocused my eyes so I wouldn't get to read everything. So
Got it.
I'm gonna go down the left side, the Disney side, till we get the Elite 8 or whatever it is, and then I'll do Pixar, and then we'll come back and we'll whatever.
Okay.
All right.
So before we get started, though,
Yes,
full disclosure, there is one film on this list I have not seen.
we'll discuss that. I'm curious.
Okay.
First matchup, we have the Lion King on the Disney side. We have the Lion King going up against Tarzan.
Yes.
All right, so you and I seem to have picked the same here.
I'm sure we did.
We both picked Lion King over Tarzan.
Yeah,
I think most people would.
I think so too.
Now, Tarzan, I was talking about recently. Tarzan's, I've seen some of these kind of recently because of Netflix and stuff. Tarzan's not a bad film.
No,
Tarzan's
it's
actually
not
a really cool film.
Yeah.
It wasn't among the first to sort of when they sort of upped their computer animation game. Like, wasn't Tarzan one like that film?
Yeah, because you have all the stuff with Tarzan kind of like surfing on the trees, the tree branches, which is really, really well done, really cool, still holds up. I mean, you can tell what's going on. You can tell it's not hand-drawn like everything else, but, it's still phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. And that soundtrack, too.
Yeah, Phil Collins.
Mm-hmm. There's a meme floating around I saw that said Phil Collins didn't have to go as hard as he did on the Tarzan soundtrack, but he did that. He did that for us.
Yes, he did.
But it's true. We listened to that on the way down to the cruise, man, and that is like he went balls to the wall on that thing.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack.
God,
I think it is. It still has stood the test of time. It's still a great soundtrack. Now, I still am gonna be partial to Elton John's Lion King.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great soundtrack for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tarzan is a formidable opponent, but it is nowhere near Lion King in terms of overall quality.
It is not.
All right, going back down the list. Okay. So we have Princess and the Frog versus Lilo and Stitch.
This was very tough.
Okay. Why is it tough?
I love them both. I think Princess and the Frog, obviously the newer film, and just the fact that it was a 2D animated, traditionally animated film, really, really spoke to me because I remember where I was when this came out, and we were in college, and this just like hit every box I was hoping Disney would hit. It's just a great, I think, a modern classic Disney film that will stand the test of time. And Lilo and Stitch, also a more modern film, but it's an outlier for Disney. It's not a princess story. It's not based on anything. And yeah, just another great, really solid film that I think has proven to have legs, just in the fact that it's had how many sequels and a spin-off show or 2 or 3, and Stitch continues to be a big part of the Disney landscape. So yeah, both really, really great, really important movies.
Interesting. Okay, because you picked Lilo and Stitch here.
I did.
So I picked Princess and the Frog.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
And I think it comes down to now again, like I've seen Lilo and Stitch maybe once all the way through.
Okay.
But yeah, I've seen them both pretty recently. And yeah, I think I think the music like really pushes Princess and the Frog ahead a little bit. I guess maybe there's something about I think it's just a concoction of things that just happen to work for me. I mean, I like Lilo and Stitch just fine. But Princess and the Frog being, I know it's kind of like a sort of princess tale, but I really did like I liked the New Orleans setting.
Yep.
I loved the New Orleans style, the jazz style music.
Yeah.
So I thought the voice cast was great. I thought whoever Tiana and the Frog Prince, whoever voices the two of them, they're great.
Yeah.
Jim Cummings is great. The guy who voices the alligator is great. And Keith David does a really good job as the Shadow Man.
Yeah. Totally.
I think he was a really cool, fun villain. I think just culturally, like that was. I mean, I don't give it many more points for this, but you have a. I guess both films really do have like a diverse cast. You have minority characters all throughout.
Yep.
So these actually kind of strangely similar films in that way, you know?
Yeah, no. It was really tough. This was, I think, probably more than any of the other matchups, was the one that was the toughest. I think the music is absolutely better in Princess and the Frog. In fact, I pulled out after I saw this bracket and filled this out. I was like, I have to go back and watch Princess and the Frog. So I did pull it out, and it is sitting on my shelf, ready to be viewed. My wife has never seen it, so we're going to watch it together sometime soon.
Oh, that'll be a treat.
Yeah, and the music is great, and really, Lilo and Stitch is not a musical. It does have some music in it. It uses Elvis Presley to a good extent, and then there's some more Hawaiian type numbers in there, which are great. But I do think Princess and the Frog has the better music for sure. Princess and the Frog, definitely more of a classic Disney movie, but for me, I think I picked Lilo and Stitch for a couple of reasons. One of which is that Stitch, I think, is a more iconic character than any of the characters in Princess and the Frog. I know it's weird to kind of judge a movie on that, but anytime you can successfully create a character who is simultaneously cute and fun, and you kind of want a T-shirt with them on it, and
plushies.
Yeah, and you want to imitate the voice, and it's just the total package in that Stitch character, between the design, the voice, the attitude, the characterization. That it's just an iconic character that will be around for a long time. And that's not to take anything away from Princess and the Frog. It's just to say that I think Stitch is going to be more of a and I think has proven already to be more of a merchandise pusher for Disney, and that's not a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's just a fact that I think that character is just more iconic from the get-go. I remember when this came out, I think I was in middle school, and there was this big campaign where they would take old Disney films and insert Stitch into them, and that was the marketing campaign, and it was really cool. So there's the Circle of Life moment where Rafiki holds up Simba, but it's actually Stitch, and stuff like that I just remember, and it just sticks with me to such an extent. And I remember my brother being really into the he was that perfect age to be really into the Lilo and Stitch animated series.
Yep.
So I watched a lot of that with him, and I think just the plethora of content, just that huge amount of content that Lilo and Stitch has brought about, to me, made it stand a little bit taller than Princess and the Frog.
It is interesting to put it that way, because when you think about it, as good as Princess and the Frog is, it you don't hear about it that much.
No, and it's a phenomenal movie, but you're right. It doesn't. There's nothing
marketable about it after the fact, I guess.
Right. You can't really even say, oh, it opened up such a huge world. You could do a whole series based on that, and you can't really. I remember back in the day you had the Little Mermaid series and the Aladdin series, and some of these, and even Timon and Pumbaa. There was a Timon and Pumbaa series. So some of these movies opened up a world where you could explore it over the course of a series. I don't think Princess and the Frog is that way. I could be wrong. Maybe in the future there will be something, but I think Lilo and Stitch has proven that, there's a big galaxy out there. There's 626 other creatures to explore, and or 625 other creatures to explore, and it's just a big, really interesting world, I think, that is contained in that. And I hope that's not cheating to kind of judge one film based on the potential that it has or the animated series that went with it. But I think that just from the fact that has such a really great concept, I think really, put it just a little bit taller for me. But I agree with you. If we're judging simply based on execution of storyline and execution of a 90-minute movie, it probably would have to go to Princess and the Frog. But yeah, it's a tough one.
It's crazy because to sort of pick out what people consider when they label a film good or not, or better,
Yeah.
or like when they put quality on it. Because for some people, it's like it's 100% like story and character, and for some people, like technical is equally weighted with that, and it's crazy to think of it that way. But yeah, dude, that's a tough matchup.
It really was.
All right, well, next we got Tangled.
Yes.
Going up against Big Hero 6.
Yes.
You and I picked the same.
Yes.
We both picked Tangled.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you pick Tangled over Big Hero 6?
I love them both.
Okay.
This was another hard one, but my gut, without even thinking, said Tangled.
Me too.
I think Tangled is probably, when it comes down to it, the better movie. The better told story. It is funny. I do think Big Hero 6 is hilarious, but Tangled is funny, and it's adventurous. So is Big Hero 6. Yeah. But it's also romantic, and Big Hero 6 is not. So it kind of had that extra element to it. Again, for me, it was a gut thing. The first thing I thought of when I checked that box was the music. There's a song in there. I think it's just called "I See the Light" or something like that. I finally see the light.
At last, I see the light.
At last, I see the light. Whatever it is. That's a great song. Like that is.
I mean, I don't know.
Yes, you do. That's probably the best song. Better than anything in Frozen to me. Better than anything in Moana to me. I love that song, and so I think my gut just kind of immediately checked the box for Tangled. I loved Tangled. I thought it was great, but I love Big Hero 6 too. But my gut just said Tangled. Yeah,
I'm just thinking about like the character, like in terms of sympathy for the character. Like I feel sympathy for both characters, obviously, but when it comes down to just a movie, I'd rather pop in and watch. Like which one's easier viewing for me? Tangled. And trust me, I've seen some of these films a lot.
Yeah,
and and Tangled is one that I'm never. It goes in with some of these films on this list as one of those movies that I could watch over and over again. It doesn't diminish in quality. I really like Mandy Moore and what's his face?
Zachary Levi.
In this, I think Donna Murphy's a great villain. I think the mother's a good villain, even though most of the she's the antagonist, but she's not like this, big looming antagonist the way that Shadow Man is in Princess and the Frog or whatever. It's
or Jafar.
She's the thing that most threatens them, and I just I always like movies where people, and this tends to be a lot of movies, but I like movies where people sort of self-actualize.
Sure.
It's definitely a hero's journey thing for me. I've found it's just seeing people sort of realize their potential, and it's interesting to sympathize with characters and to be with them in both scenarios. Like you already like them when they're not their full selves, and then to see how much more you like them once they realize their potential. I like that, like seeing that change.
Yeah, you're right.
Disney films are, if you want to put something on the business card, it would be good, safe change.
No, it's true. It really is. It's true. And I like Big Hero 6. I think it has a good hero's journey to it too. There's emotional moments. When characters die or what have you. But at the end of the day, I feel like I just feel like that third act of Big Hero 6 was a little rushed. Like almost they needed an extra 15 minutes to the movie or something. But yeah, both great films.
Yeah. Okay, the next one I have many opinions on. The next one is no contest to me. You got Frozen up against Moana, and you and I both chose Moana.
Yeah, no contest.
So we've touched on this maybe a little bit on the show.
Yeah.
I just want to go just on a quick recap of why I think this is an obvious choice, because I feel like they put this on the bracket as like, oh man, there's gonna be another tough matchup. Bullshit. Right. This is not a hard choice at all.
Easiest one on the whole list.
Well, without saying too much about about the win, the one who I chose to win, this matchup, but like Moana is a better film than Frozen. I'll just talk about I'll talk about the things Frozen is not. How about instead Moana? Because I don't want to spoil how far Moana goes.
Sure.
How far I'll go, by the way, is a pun.
I almost said that was a fun, but it's a fun pun.
It's a fun pun, and it really was unintentional. Now, Frozen, okay, Frozen's cookie cutter. Frozen is like a giant marketing ploy. In my opinion, Frozen.
It's so hollow.
It's really hollow. The music's not that great. Really, the only part I've said before, there are distinct parts of this film I like that make it solid for me.
Yeah.
Again, no pun intended, but it's a solid film. Frozen solid. And come on, you guys. Come on, Dustin.
Cricket.
Thank you. Frozen. I think. I don't know. There's maybe not large elements, but just little things in here I like. I appreciate that that there's not some true love. That the true love's kiss at the end of the film was actually between her and her sister.
Yes,
platonic, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a romantic kiss.
It wasn't a romantic kiss.
And the dude she just met, that they make constant references. She just met this guy. And that true love's kiss, it's like, you kidding me? And she kisses her sister, and that works. I thought, okay, that's nice. But they didn't really sell me on their relationship either throughout most of the movie.
Well, no, because I have so many problems with this movie, but you're right. I'm not going to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's okay. We have time this time. But like, I just think that the strongest part of this film to me, like the part that's consistently, like the part that I was most surprised by, I thought I would hate this. I like Olaf in this film. I think Olaf is pretty restrained for the kind of annoying character he could have been.
Yes.
You know, he's what's his name? Josh Gad is really funny in the role, and Olaf is one of those, you know, blissfully stupid characters who has no idea that he'll melt if he goes to the beach, which is his ultimate goal. Just things like that. But things like that in the film just sort of pop up out of nowhere, and they're supposed to mean things to us, and they really don't.
Right.
So, like you said, it's just a hollow film. I like Kristen Bell in the role, but Idina Menzel wasn't that good, you know. And I like Kristen Bell just fine.
You mean Adele Dazeem?
Adele Dazeem. It just wasn't that great of a film, and there's no real antagonist in there either. So you have no one you're rooting against. It's just, I'll go get my sister. Now I'll go here. Now I'll go here. Gotta get my sister back, and it's just like, it's not compelling to me.
I always hate to down a movie for what I feel like it should have been or could have been, and instead of judging it on what it is, but like. When there's that halfway moment, I guess it's halfway. I don't remember. I haven't seen it in so long.
What it is not enough.
Yes, where you know Elsa is doing the whole "Let It Go" number, and she builds the thing, the inexplicable castle for no reason, and so. Clothing. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, how? Never mind. Whatever.
And not to mention, creates sentient life twice. She makes two snowmen who presumably have souls.
Correct. And to go to your true love's kiss or whatever, it's like, but she doesn't care for her sister. Like, she's literally lived alone for her whole life without refusing to have anything to do with her sister.
It's like she has this latent love for her sister that she can't explain, but it's like, yeah, but no little girl would. No kid would grow up that way and be like, I still love my sister. It's like,
no,
I don't care what your brain thinks it remembers. Like,
it doesn't. Yeah,
you grew up like, you should hate her. Like, you really should.
Exactly.
It would have made way more sense if she had hated Elsa throughout the whole movie.
Yep.
You know.
Well, see, but this is what I thought the movie could have been and should have been when she does let it go. I thought that whole thing was leading to Elsa being the villain. Like, we hadn't had a villain up to that point, and I thought, let it go, da 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 da, whatever the song is.
Yeah.
And then I thought what was going to happen was she was going to come back to Arendelle as a villain. Oh. And then the interesting thing would have been, like, for the first time, like, it's not your protagonist, but it's like a character you truly care about is the villain. Ooh. And your protagonist is set up against her own sister. But you care about them both. Yeah. Like, to me, that's the story. That's what it should have been. She even makes this gown, and it's like, that could be a villain's gown. Like, I know it's white and all that, but that's her thing. So it could have been a villain's gown.
I mean,
she does Let It Go. She makes a giant snowman that's going to be an abominable snowman.
She does a lot of questionable to bad things.
Right, and she stabs a dude with a spear, with an icicle spear, or maybe I'm misremembering that.
No, she does do that.
And so I thought for sure she was going to be the villain. Like, what it was going to come down to is, like, Anna goes up there and is like, please, you have to come back. And she's like, no, they never accepted me, and it was going to be like a thing. Yeah. And it wasn't. It never went anywhere. Instead, it was like, oh, I'm still good, and everybody's still good, and the guy that she just met or whatever is bad, and it's like, well, I saw that coming from a mile away, and it doesn't even matter because that's been done before. I wonder if is it a Disney thing that I guess that would have kept them from doing such a, probably what I consider a bold storyline, because. That's probably. Think about, again, if you take both her ideas, she hates Elsa for most of the movie until she realizes like what Elsa did for her by what it must have been, how hard it must have been for her sister to go through all this alone through her essentially her entire childhood and adolescence, and then but by the time she wants to go to her and be like, I'm sorry, I had no idea, Elsa's already like, it's too late, and they flip-flopped, and now she's like, now I hate you and I hate everyone for not accepting me. She might not hate Anna, but she might just be like, I'm sorry, but everyone else deserves to burn. Like, or you didn't know, do the whole Darth Vader join me thing. Oh man, like that would have been like, that's the movie that I wanted. That's a much better movie. That's so much better. And you have like Olaf, and you have all the other characters, and it's like, okay, fine, like they're passable, but they are all cookie cutter, like hollow Disney characters. You can tell the tropes. Oh, you're the comedic one. Oh, you're the funny animal that doesn't speak, but you're a reindeer in this one. You were a horse in Tangled. It's like these are all different, like tropes of Disney. It's there's nothing new here, and as many times as they want to make fun of the stereotypes of Disney movies, like, oh, you just met him, and it's like, but it doesn't ring true, because at the end of the movie there's nothing to suggest that like you were like satirizing the genre. Like it's you just didn't up. Just because you didn't follow the trajectory of a typical Disney movie doesn't mean you actually had a successful satire. And it just means that you didn't do what everybody else does. But that's true of everything. Like you could name a lot of things that, like, for instance, if you look at the Marvel movies, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, it doesn't necessarily follow the perfect like Marvel movie formula. And as much as it makes fun of the Marvel movie formula, it doesn't send it up. It still falls in line to me. And that's the same thing with Frozen. It wants to appear, although I don't think I'm comparing those two because Guardians is infinitely better. Frozen wants to appear like it's smart and progressive by, not letting a girl fall in love with a guy she just met. But all it never actually does anything. It just doesn't do things. It's just a poser, man. Right, and that's my problem with Frozen, is it doesn't do anything, it just doesn't do things. And all you can point to is say, oh, but it doesn't let her fall in love. Oh, but it doesn't have a true love's first kiss. Oh, but it doesn't, have whatever. But what does it do? Tell me what it does. He's never beaten me, and he never told me I was worthless, and he didn't poison me. Right. Okay. Does he do anything for you? No. He's at work all the time. Right. Well, but so that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway, all I can say about Frozen is this was the easiest one. And I'm not even the biggest Moana fan. I just hate Frozen with a passion. Like, to me, take all of the Disney movies, and that's going to be like down near the bottom. And I'm talking like probably Chicken Little's better than that. And Chicken Little stars Zach Braff as a chicken. And like, that's better than this. I'm sorry. Home on the Range. I've never even seen that, but Dame Judi Dench is in that movie. Oh dear. In a kids movie. And it's got to be better. I haven't even seen it, but it's got to be better because Frozen is that bad to me. Anyway, sorry.
I just think this one was totally style and marketing over substance. It's like they just said, well, what's going to sell well? Like what can we cram? Not even like a message, but what can we sort of prop up as like a progressive story for young girls? That doesn't go, and not to get too much into this because this is a he said she said sort of thing, but that's clearly their agenda because they're talking about giving Elsa a girlfriend in the next one. To sort of, and I'm not going to get into like teaching the kids this, but like, it's just like, well, to me, it's sort of like when they did the Beauty and the Beast, like when they're talking about the gay character. One, you can't even tell in the film. And two, like, why announce that ahead of time? Are we seeing this movie because it's going to be good, or are we seeing it to support a social agenda?
No, everything about it is calculated.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with Frozen is it's like they don't even, so think about something like Aladdin, right? Great movie. Mm-hmm. And Aladdin has stunt casting. It has Robin Williams. That may be the biggest stunt casting of any of the Disney movies. Has Robin Williams as a genie.
Yeah.
An anachronistic genie. And here's the thing.
You're right.
Right. But here's the thing. A, that works.
Yeah.
And B, when you have the main character the main actor who plays Aladdin, I can't remember his name, Scott something, I think, or Scott something. Anyway,
a Tom Cruise type.
Yeah. So when you have him, he's the guy on Full House that falls in love with DJ. Anyway, so he's Aladdin, but when he sings, it's just a random dude, right? Uh-huh. Like, and when Jasmine sings, it's just a random girl. But Frozen, like, not only do you have Josh Gad and whatever else, and you have, Kristen Bell, but you have Idina Menzel singing this song because clearly you just want her to perform at the Oscars because it's Idina Menzel. Yeah. Like, that's the problem to me. Like, there was no reason to hire Idina Menzel because she's not that great of an actress.
She's not. No, she's. I would go so far as to say she's not.
I
was about to say the exact same thing you just said because I casually with every second was trying to walk it back and be nice, but she's not a good actress. And
right.
And she's a good singer, but I mean she used to be better. Now she was injured. There's other stuff that went into that. She can't sing as well anymore. Still sings very well, and
right
from a technical standpoint.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. It was stunt casting. It's just like what kind of character can we write for somebody like Idina Menzel? Like how can we get her to sing Disney songs? What kind of character would she play? Let's just build a movie around her.
Right. And there was no reason for her to play that character.
And once again, sorry, but like I think they were pleasantly surprised with Josh Gad because, again, that character is effective. And the songs they gave him, Josh Gad's a really good singer.
Yeah, he
that
is.
Song Summer, that was a big surprise to me. I had no idea that dude could sing like that.
Right.
So, not, he's like the needle, the diamond in the rough there, to quote Aladdin again.
Right. Like, look, Frozen just, like... I think it just hit a certain moment in time, and I think if you remove Frozen and you say, okay, let's release Frozen in 1994, nobody would care.
Yeah.
And if you remove it and put it in like 2024, I think probably no one's gonna care. It's just because it hit right when it did, and I think. I could be wrong, and maybe we'll come back to this podcast in a year or two or however long it is when Frozen 2 comes out. But I think people are not going to care. Yeah. I think it'll do well, but I don't think it'll be the hit that they think it will be.
Yeah, well, depending on what it is or isn't in it, I'm going to have to screen it and make sure my kids can watch it.
Well, this is true, too.
You know what I mean? It's like I start being that guy.
Well, but there again, it's because the story matters only second to the calculations.
Yeah. So. All right. Cruising right along. We were passionate about those two films, you guys. We had to break down.
Guys.
Okay. Here's an easier choice. Aladdin. Well, sorry, not easier. Here's another easy choice for me, at least. Aladdin versus Hercules. We both voted Aladdin. Aladdin is
for sure
definitely much better. Has much more staying power. Again, I mean, when you want to talk about, like you were saying for Lilo and Stitch, the staying power this has.
Genie. Genie's
so much is good. I mean, Hercules was whatever. But it's not. There's nothing. It just doesn't stick with me. It's not.
No.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And
what it is
Hercules
about
isn't a bad movie.
No, it's just
Aladdin is a very good movie.
But yeah, Aladdin's great. Aladdin's got great music.
Brilliant
It even has a complex, when you look at it as an adult, it has a complex hero. He's kind of a jerk. He spends most of the movie lying to the love interest.
Yep.
And and of course you have a great villain like Jafar to round it out. I can't remember the guy who voices him, but my God, the voice cast is fantastic in here. Mm-hmm. Again, you got one or two instances of stunt casting with Robin Williams and Gilbert Gottfried, but my God, they're perfect.
It works. It totally works to the point where you remove them from the movie, it wouldn't work anymore.
God, it'd be such a wasted opportunity.
Like, just imagine just some voice actor being Genie. It just wouldn't have that same energy.
Yeah.
Or just somebody being Iago. It has to be Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
It just has to. So yeah, totally Aladdin, far and away. But there is stunt casting in Hercules too, between Danny DeVito and James Woods and all that. But
I would say Danny DeVito much more.
Yes,
that basically is a drawing of him, that character.
Yes, it is.
But
it truly
James
is.
Woods, maybe he looks a little bit. Obviously, they make him look a little bit like their actors, so it does look like James Woods. But that's also the kind of part James Woods would play in a serious adaptation of this film. There's no serious version of this film where Danny DeVito is playing Phil the satyr.
Right.
It's kind of like casting him as the penguin. He's not even really right for the part. It's just like, oh, come on, he's the obvious choice, really. And then they go, what?
Right.
What do you mean?
We need a short dude.
Yeah, we need a short, smart ass kind of dude.
Short, stocky guy.
But dude, that's still a little on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, So
Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin for sure. Okay, we got The Little Mermaid versus Pocahontas. Got a couple of princesses, or
I'm very curious where you stand on this, Hooper.
Are you?
I am curious.
Well,
because I could see you going either way.
You really? Why do you? Hold on, this is interesting. So why do you think I would go either way?
Because I don't think I've ever heard you talk about either of them, and so in my mind I'm like, I think he's really gonna like the music in Pocahontas, but then I'm like, but I think he's really gonna like the music in the Little Mermaid, and I'm thinking, but I think he's probably gonna like the story better in the Little Mermaid, but then I'm like, but Pocahontas has that historicity to it, faux historicity that I think Hooper would enjoy.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, but Pocahontas is more of a hero's journey than The Little Mermaid. So he's probably going to like Pocahontas. But then I'm like, but Little Mermaid is more like attractively designed. So I think he's going to like that better. So I have no idea where you stand
Pocahontas has Mel Gibson.
This is true. And Christian Bale.
Oh, that's true. I picked Little Mermaid.
Okay, gotcha.
As did you.
Yeah.
Pocahontas is another like meh film for me. Like you got like the one you got Colors of the Wind, which is kind of an pretty iconic song.
Yeah.
Like some of these films tend to be, and it doesn't always bother me. It's a pretty big, clear environmental message, which is fine too. And if you're gonna do that, at least root it in something that kind of sort of happened.
Sure.
There's not much special about it, I guess. It's just it's another one to me it's more, I don't know, it seems like it's here to tell you something but not necessarily take you on a character's journey. I mean, I don't think Pocahontas really learns or changes that much as a character. She's already amenable to obviously she talks and gets to know John Smith, but like there's nothing about her that really changes. She doesn't suddenly go, you know what, colonization's great. We could learn from these pilgrims.
Yeah, I think she more just learns to be stronger in the opinions she already has.
Right. So it's like, why are we watching this?
Sure.
But The Little Mermaid is a full on through and through journey of a character. But first, I mean, I obviously I will always appreciate this in terms of technical quality. I think it's better executed. I like the characters better. The music is incredible. The villain is really memorable to me. I think Ursula is the woman who voices her. I'm forgetting all these names, but that's another one that's when you think about stunt casting. But no, it's not like she's a name people recognize. But if you heard that woman talk, otherwise you're like, oh, that's who you'd pick to be Ursula. Yeah, but she's fantastic. She's got that cackle.
It's very scary.
Like there's just that
Yeah.
gleeful, like, I love being evil. I'm gonna
Yes.
murder everybody here, and that's just great. Obviously, part of your world is a tremendous song, and yeah, it's
Under the Sea.
yeah, Under the Sea. I mean, any of these movies that got turned into musicals, it's a kind of a dead giveaway that it's a memorable film. Like, you don't just make a musical or a Broadway show out of good music, but but okay characters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tarzan. Even though probably Tarzan is no, it's not. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, does that kind of line up with why you pitched The Little Mermaid?
Yeah, I think so. I like Pocahontas a lot, but yeah, I think Little Mermaid just stays a little longer.
Yeah. We probably ought to speed up. We're not even through the first round.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So now we got Mulan versus Zootopia.
Yeah.
We've both picked Mulan.
Clear, far and away.
I think so. I mean, Zootopia is fine and everything, but again, it's a. And look, Dustin and I aren't like tinfoil hat, like resist the deep state like people. But I really don't like when a movie shows me message first, character later.
Yes, that's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem isn't the message. The problem is the execution of the message.
Proportions of all the ingredients. There's too much message in this film. It's spicy. I don't like it.
Yes. It's weird because when I saw like the first clips of this, it's like a rabbit and a fox go to the DMV and it's run by sloths. And then you have a rabbit and a fox, and the fox is like outsmarting the system to try to get ice cream for free or something. I don't remember what it was. But regardless, like that's the movie that it should have been, right? Like a wily fox being caught by a detective bunny. And like, to me, like that's a cool story. But then it just becomes like something completely different. And again, it's not that I hate the message. And it's not necessarily that I disagree with, where the heart is here.
Sure.
But the problem with it is, it's a movie about a rabbit and a fox, and when I paid money, I thought that's what I was going to get. I didn't think I was going to basically tune into another hour and a half of CNN, and that's my problem.
Yeah, I just don't like when it's like when they go, when you tally up again, like sort of, it's like a list of ingredients. It's like you've got a bunch of things around here, like, is there only this many carrots in there? And you realize that's not a bunny joke.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You should have just
really
ran with it.
I was trying not to say pepper again. The next thing I thought of was carrots. But like when you realize like, the hero, if you will, of this dish, if you're going with the food analogy, the hero is don't be a racist.
Right.
And it's like, okay, that's nothing wrong with the message, but that's what we're leading with. We're not going to lead with, here's a character I like and I want to see you succeed.
But this is interesting because now compare that with Mulan, where the story is basically don't be a sexist.
Yeah.
But Mulan is handled so much better because it treats you to a story about a character who is selfless and does things that are admirable and challenges every stereotype that you might associate with a woman.
For her to act as expected would be for her to not do the right thing by her family.
Correct.
And so as a character, her convictions are countercultural because the culture hasn't caught up to the values that she has instilled in her.
Correct. Now, Zootopia, on the other hand, is the message first, and then let's just put some funny characters around it. Yeah. And so if you said, well, tell me about Judy Hopps, it's, I don't know, she wants to be a cop.
Yeah, she wants to be the best cop.
But there's a bias. I don't know. I don't know what. But it doesn't, like, the story is not so dissimilar from Mulan. Mm-hmm. It's just Mulan is the character first. I can tell you about Mulan. I can't tell you about Judy Hopps other than what her goal is. So that's my problem.
Yeah. All right. The last one on the first round for Disney, we got Beauty and the Beast versus The Nightmare Before Christmas. Again, some of these first rounds aren't that hard because we both easily picked Beauty and the Beast. That's an easy winner.
Yeah. Well, this is my clarification. I've never seen Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, you'd pick Beauty and the Beast before. I mean, I'm sure you'd like it just fine, but I can just tell you that like it's nowhere. I don't know. Some people, goths and nerds, and people who's like, "Oh, the Nightmare Before Christmas," because it's dark and it's whatever, and
it's irreverent.
But for God's sake, guys, like, do we have to resist things that are popular, whether they're better or not? Like, I know The Nightmare Before Christmas is edgier than Beauty and the Beast. Like, when you compare them, like, would you rather watch like a scene where a beast in a suit is dancing with a girl in a gown, or do you want to watch Jack Skellington because he's like dark and shit? Like, it's. I like the Nightmare Before Christmas. I've already showed it to my daughter. My daughter's 4, and it's an interesting. I think it's a technical achievement. And, having a stop motion like that, it's great. And I like the film. But in terms of like, for me to pick it, like I have to like the film. I have to like what it's about. And when it comes down to it, like none of those characters stick with me really at all. It's just sort of a fun film to watch once a year, kind of around Halloween or Christmas, depending on what you want to do.
Right.
Beauty and the Beast is about characters who grow and change, and good music and a love story. I just think there's a lot more to it.
Right. It's don't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
It's,
Yeah. Classic lessons, but presented in a nice, fresh way.
Right.
The most, again, you can argue maybe it's calculatingly palatable,
Sure.
but okay.
Yeah, that's not the worst thing in the
and it's unlike Frozen, which they tried to do that and it wasn't palatable.
It's not but I don't know that they even tried to make it calculatingly palatable. I think it was just calculating in general. I think it was calculatingly financial. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's move on to the first round of Pixar.
Okay.
All right, from the top down, we have Up versus Brave.
Yes.
This was an easy one for me. I just imagine it was for you. We both picked Up.
Yep. Not much to say here. I think most everybody would agree that Up is better than Brave. Brave is not bad. It's not nearly as bad as the bloggers online would have you think.
Sure.
But Up is an achievement. So.
Right. Up was great. I haven't seen Up in a while, and I'd like to see it again. But Up was one of the ones where people started realizing that Pixar had like emotional chops, where they begin the film with a miscarriage or whatever it was, like, that's,
but it wasn't tonally confusing to start with a miscarriage and then you have a talking dog, like a bunch of talking dogs, and like a female bird named Kevin that just goes all the time. Like, you would think those two things wouldn't go in a movie together, but they do.
Oh man, I forgot about Kevin. I love Kevin.
Kevin's great.
Up's a great film. And another one, if you want to talk about diversity, you got an old guy and an Asian kid and a talking dog and a bird. It's great.
Right.
Good film.
Yep.
All right. Here's one that might have been harder for some people.
Yeah, this was hard.
Okay, so you got Toy Story versus Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
We both picked Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
I want to know why you picked Toy Story 2, because I imagine this was a choice that was hard for you. This wasn't hard for me because I've already thought about all this, with these films. So what about you?
This was tough for me. The first one's great because it's nostalgic, it's classic, it's one of those movies that you just grew up with. At least I did, and if you ask me to watch that versus any other movie, I'm probably going to pick Toy Story. Like, I love Toy Story. But Toy Story 2 improved on everything that Toy Story began. Not only are all your favorite characters back, but they start introducing some more, like Barbie and some characters that are going to play a longer, bigger role in the films, like Jessie and Bullseye. And I think it just really improved on everything that the first one started. The first movie had the opening scene. If we just compare opening scenes, the opening scene is like the toys being still and Andy playing with them. The opening scene of Toy Story 2 is inside of a video game, so you get this like really cinematic Buzz Lightyear story.
Dude, what a way to start a movie. I loved that.
I know. And then you start Toy Story 3 and it's like inside Andy's like mind, right? And so it began this idea of, in contrast to Toy Story 1, that the beginning, the opening scene is going to be like imagination. And that's great. They work in so much into Toy Story 2 that you don't just get a good Woody story. Because Woody's story in this is, hey, here's some people like me and we belong together. And Andy may not really want me and, all of this stuff, but I could be with these guys.
You get that first little nugget that they expand upon in 3, which is this existential question. Like, for the first time in these movies, you're confronted with the idea of, like, what does happen if Andy doesn't want them anymore? Like, Woody's trying to think about his future.
Yep. And then you have a really great Buzz story, because Buzz is being replaced by another Buzz, and all of this stuff that's going along. You start to have the seeds of romance between Buzz and Jesse. You've got the Prospector is a great villain, voiced by Kelsey Grammer. You have Wayne Knight in this as another, like, a human villain. It really just improved on everything, and as much as I love Toy Story and can quote it and just have the whole thing memorized, Toy Story essentially is a Woody story, and the Buzz story is not a separate story. Buzz is in Woody's story. But this movie, you have the branch off where you've got the Woody story, you've got the Buzz story, and in the end they're going to come together, but you have two separate, distinct stories going on here, and that is a thread that Toy Story 3 will pick up and use. And so, I think Toy Story 2 improved on everything in Toy Story 1 and laid the groundwork for what was to come.
Yeah, I agree. I think Toy Story 2 definitely raised the bar. Sequels can tend to do more of maybe the popular thing, but not more of the substantive thing, and not balance out correctly. And Toy Story 2 just up to the I want to go back to that idea of, I don't believe in the first Toy Story there were stakes. Obviously they set very real world stakes, like the physics for the most part of the show. Like, the danger was very real, and that's what I like about these films is, like, the danger for these toys is very real. They are very breakable things. The world around them is very scary and big and challenging, and they really sold you on that idea of, like, being away from this room is a dangerous thing for us. Even just going next door it was impossible to get back. And in Toy Story 2, like I said, you've got this that's the first thing for you as a viewer to realize, no, we're thinking deeper than you thought we were thinking in the first film, whereas we just got to get back, because in this one it's like they're thinking about their demise and their purpose. Like, they're asking existential questions about themselves, the things that very philosophical ideas in this movie, and it really deepens the characters.
It does.
And so I love Toy Story 2. This was an easy choice for me. I mean, again, I love 1, but 2's just better. It was a simple choice. I love 1, but 2's better.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Coco up against, I believe, is that Cars 3 or 2?
Cars 2, I think it is.
Okay, I couldn't tell, but I was like, well, either way, I'm going to pick Coco. So we both picked Coco.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. Okay, so, well, okay, if that's Cars 2, that's the easiest choice in the world.
Yeah.
Cars 2 is a pile of garbage. It's not a good film. It really doesn't advance the Lightning McQueen character at all. It's just a big marketing gimmick for Mater because he's so popular. This is exactly what Toy Story 2 doesn't do. They were like, what people like about Cars? Mater. All right, well, let's just run with that. What about the whole thing the main character? Nope. Nope. Let's get Michael Caine, Finn McMissile, and a couple of other stupid gimmicks, and let's slap this thing out and just. There's a ton of car puns I could make, but I'm not going to. This film's not worth it. Now, if this was Cars 3, Coco is still better than Cars 3, although 3 is a better film than 3 is not on this bracket, so I'll go ahead and just talk about 3. I reviewed it pretty recently on the show, and it's a pretty good trilogy, third film of a trilogy. I'll say it functions pretty well as the bookend to this character, the Lightning McQueen character. It's not because it's not really an ensemble. These films are about Lightning McQueen. They're supposed to be, and 2 just wasn't, or really wasn't largely. Like they just tried to book in. They tried to crowbar Mater. That's kind of a car pun, I guess. Crowbar. They tried to put him in this film a little too much. And
Sure.
and Coco, as we both have said on the show, is just, it hits all the character and story emotional beats you would expect of a good storyline. You have a character who has room for growth, but who also is onto something that lots of people around him aren't onto or don't understand, with them wanting to be a musician and them being all really really stupidly superstitious about music. Like, I was a little annoyed by that, but I was like, whatever, like, this is his conflict, I get it. But I thought, like, really, you guys live in Mexico and you hate music? It's like the most musical culture there is. Are you serious? And
totally.
And so, but you have a really interesting setting and fun characters and a really compelling goal and plot, and I wouldn't say really a villain. I mean, there is a villain in here. He's not like the main antagonist.
Right.
But well, it's out for rent, so we can say that guy's a murderer. I was not expecting that. Because you were in your review, you said this gets dark at a certain point. I was like, I wonder what happens. And then he was like, oh yeah, I totally killed your grandfather because
he's a murderer.
Yeah, he murdered him.
He straight up murdered a guy.
You don't see too much of that. I mean, I know that like Scar kills Mufasa, but like But we don't see too much of this stuff.
Yeah,
he poisoned that man. And that was messed up.
And stole his life's work.
Yeah. So Coco, definitely a clear winner.
Yeah.
Okay, another clear winner. We got Toy Story 3 versus The Good Dinosaur.
Yep.
We both picked Toy Story 3. We've talked about. I think I reviewed The Good Dinosaur on here in the speed round. It's it's just one of those films it's fine and everything, but there's nothing memorable or special about it.
Sure.
I was annoyed that the it's like with how good the nature animation is in here. You're like, oh my god, I'm watching Planet Earth.
Right.
And then this stupid like kids drawing of a cartoon steps into this river with these realistic ripples, but he's just this big dumb green face like, Dorm! And you're just like, will you get off the screen? Like this is talk about anachronistic. Like it was weird. It didn't belong.
Yeah.
And
I didn't hate The Good Dinosaur, but you're right. It's not memorable. It's just sort
dinosaur.
Of like, it's like it's a fine dinosaur. It's not a great dinosaur.
Yeah.
But Toy Story 3, phenomenal. I mean, what can you say about it that hasn't already been said? So, phenomenal.
Yeah. Here's one where let's see. Okay, we've got Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Versus A Bug's Life.
Yep.
Again, we were in lockstep, Dustin. We've got Ratatouille is the winner.
Yep.
Again, I like A Bug's Life just fine, really. I think it's a pretty imaginative film. When it comes, when you want to picture like what's their city look like, a bunch of ants and bugs, like what are those characters like? It's a pretty fun movie. But when it came to a story that was more compelling, again, Ratatouille, you got to go with Ratatouille.
A Bug's Life is a really good movie. It's Pixar's second. It was really, I think they were still trying to find post Toy Story footing, figure out what worked, what didn't work, and I think the movie largely works, but it suffers from the Good Dinosaur syndrome, which is it's just sort of forgettable to me.
Yeah.
I liked it when I was a kid a lot. I remember I had a motion detecting like room guard flick.
I have 3 flicks.
Do you?
Present tense.
Okay, well there you go.
I'll show them to you later in my room.
Okay, I don't want to see them. But again, it's just sort of forgettable. Ratatouille to me is memorable. It's fun. I like Ratatouille, so yeah.
All right, we got Finding Nemo versus Inside Out.
Yep.
We differ.
Ooh, okay.
I picked Finding Nemo.
Okay.
Dustin picked Inside Out.
I did.
Now, I argued this bracket with other people who also would have picked Inside Out here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say I don't disagree why it would be a pick over Nemo. I'm just going to say again, when it comes down to movies I'd rather put in and watch over and over again, I could watch Finding Nemo endlessly.
Sure. Sure.
I think it's a fun, adventure road movie. It's a road movie.
Yeah.
I like the characters, and I just, the voice cast and everything. I just don't like the cast or really the plot of Inside Out as much. But I will say the philosophical exploration and what they're trying to say and explore with this movie is pretty mind blowing for a kid's film.
Yeah, to me,
and profound.
It is. So Finding Nemo, I would never argue against Finding Nemo ever. Finding Nemo is a phenomenal movie. It's a huge achievement in Pixar's library. I think it's phenomenal. Inside Out, to me, I think takes it just because of the depth of what it was trying to do and the creativity involved in how you do that and still make it palatable and understandable for children. And I think children can understand what's going on here, and I think adults will understand it on a different level, and I think it makes it a complex and interesting story, and one that I think kind of challenges everybody to sort of rethink their own emotions, and it sort of personifies and gives face to these feelings that you feel, so that when you feel them, you almost, like, at least after the movie, you kind of have a face to them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it to me, it's something that when the movie's over, I can recognize elements of the movie in my real life.
Whoa.
And so to me, I think that makes it a very unique and adult and mature story that, like I said, kids can still enjoy too. So to me, just the depth of what it was trying to do, and the like I said, the creativity involved in how you do that. I mean, the thought and just stacks and reams of paper that must have been, wadded up and on the floor of Pete Docter's room when he was writing this. It just has to be unthinkable. So
yeah.
Inside Out gets it for me. But I would never argue against Finding Nemo. So
okay, we got Monsters Inc. versus Cars.
Yep.
We differ again.
Okay.
I picked Cars.
Okay.
You picked Monsters Inc.
I did.
So why'd you pick Monsters Inc. over Cars? Because this was one that kind of went either way for me. I didn't feel strongly about either of these films over each other. Okay.
Monsters Inc. to me, I really like Monsters Inc. Cars to me is, again, forgettable. But Monsters Inc. to me is one of those stories that talks a lot about friendship between two characters, Mike and Sully, and sort of challenging the status quo, whether that be the workplace or just culture in general, confronting people who are willing to cheat to get ahead. There's a lot of stuff in this movie, whereas I feel like Cars is pretty single-minded in its, like, hey, Owen Wilson, like, you got lost, now just make friends and then get home. And that it's simple in that way, and I can see the appeal of something like that. But for me, Monsters Inc. has more life lessons. It has more actual value in terms of what it's trying to say and what it's trying to do. And to me, yeah, I don't know. I just like Monsters Inc. a lot. But I'll actually, just because I like to do this every once in a while, I'll throw everybody a curveball and say I actually like Monsters University better than Monsters Inc. Oh, I said it.
Oh, yeah.
But I do. I would rather watch Monsters University any day.
I don't know. I guess I've probably seen it a couple of times. I don't know. The reason I picked Cars over Monsters Inc.
Sure.
Monsters Inc. does accomplish those things, like the imaginative sort of world. Mm-hmm. How does this world operate? But so the movies honestly are about on equal footing for me in terms of, like,
Sure.
the believability of how this world operates. Like Toy Story is a lot easier to sell. It's our world.
Sure.
It's just toys are coming to life. So that's more fun because you don't have to think too much more. It's like, oh, everything else is the same except for toys are sentient. Okay.
Right.
You know, but with Monsters Inc., like, so with Cars, you can go watch the Honest trailer for these things.
Yeah,
but like I said, I think I even said this in the Cars 3 review, like there's a lot of questions here. Like, how do they grab things? Like who built them? Who made planes? Who made roads? How do you, who fixes computers? You know, like it's you can't, it's one of those things that.
Wow.
They don't
That's a lot of questions.
Wow.
I've never thought of that. Wow.
Wow. I can't.
I know. I derailed everything. I'm sorry. He did what in his cup? Oh, man.
Yeah.
I made her. I told made her.
Stogies. All right. Wow.
All right. Wow.
A sailor. Okay. All right. I just what I like about Cars, I guess, is and I've been a vocal critic of the Cars franchise, so I will say that what I like about Cars is I kind of like the same kind of story formula as the first Thor movie, where you've got this cocksure achiever who is sort of brought down to size, either by Thor's banishment or by Lightning McQueen getting stranded in Radiator Springs and having to sort of be humbled. And
they kind of are the same movie.
And they're both kind of in the Southwest.
Right, yeah.
And in being humbled, he becomes a better version of himself. Yeah. So from a character standpoint, I definitely like and appreciate Cars. In
Monsters Inc., they learn that you can scare kids, or you can fall on your crotch and make them laugh, and it's better.
And see, I like Monsters Inc. just fine, and I like the interplay. I like Billy Crystal and John Goodman. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I just don't know. I guess maybe for me, like if they hadn't pulled out Monsters University, I don't think Monsters Inc. would have had as much staying power, and I think Cars was undeniably going to be sticking around. Right, sure. That was just a whole new world they sort of opened up. Like when they do a Toy Story, oh, Bug's Life, cool. Right. And then with Nemo, it was like that to me was A Bug's Life still had like an element of that Toy Story danger of things that are small to humans are big and scary to them. Right. Whereas with Finding Nemo is like, oh, like I don't even know what's dangerous in this world. Like there's a whole new thing to explore here. And so with Cars, that was another thing where that was another sort of element of existence they delved into. A whole new setting, a whole new set of rules. So maybe that's why I voted Cars over Monsters Inc.
Sure, I gotcha.
The last first round matchup we got here, before we speed through the intermediates, we've got The Incredibles versus Wall-E, and you and I are agreed here with The Incredibles. Man,
it was tough.
Yeah, again, which one would I rather sit and watch? Like Wall-E has a lot to say, and that's fine. But you could even dare say that Wall-E is a message over story. Although it's a really entertaining film and it's a really well done film from a character standpoint, because you have characters who are emoting through noises. They can't even speak. Yeah. And that's really effective.
Yeah, I can see that argument. And I remember when it came out, I talked to a bunch of people that did make that argument. Yeah. I disagree. I think it is character over message. I think the character matters far more because you get to know Wall-E. You get to see like what he's got in his house. You get to see him watching these romantic movies. And really the story for him, for the character, is more of a romance. But for us, it's more of environmentalism. Yeah. But the character himself is more after romance than environmentalism. Whereas in Zootopia, the characters themselves are after the message, which is, police brutality or whatever.
Yeah, police brutality, racism.
Right. The characters themselves are vocal about the message, but Wall-E never speaks about environmentalism. Yeah. That's just what we infer from it. And so to me, I think Wall-E is the exact opposite of Zootopia. But I love Wall-E, love Incredibles.
Incredible is just a fun movie. It's always fun with people with powers, but I mean that film, and it wasn't just a movie about a family with powers. It had just this really distinct style, you know, this really distinct visual style. That sort of like that soundtrack. I can't even, you know, that noise. I'm just
it's like almost like a 19
like noirish. It seemed like
late 50s, early 60s setting. With like a James Bond soundtrack,
a really jazz like score, and just and really well conceived action sequences.
Yeah,
you know, obviously everyone's gonna think about the dash sequence. Like that was one of the most incredible sequences that I'd ever seen in a movie. Like as soon as that kid starts running, my dopamine was just like amazing. my eyes, my pupils were just like
it's amazing,
swelled up. Yeah. So it's really good stuff. But I will say go ahead.
I was gonna say I love the training montage in that where Mr. Incredible is like getting back into shape and he's like lifting trains and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like that to me was so cool. And then it would like intersperse him like saving the day in secret, or like I said, lifting or juggling a train, and then like going home and just like kissing his wife and picking up Jack.
Yeah.
And it's like that to me is so cool. But this movie too is strangely mature for, you know, what it's doing. It's strangely, you know, adult.
Very.
Because, you know, Elastigirl's kind of whole thing is like, is he cheating on me?
Yeah.
And kids don't get that. And in fact, there I remember seeing there's like a cut deleted scene where she like had a dream that he was with other women and like stuff like that. And it was like, I know why you cut that, but it's like, but that was her story in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's mature.
And as I've gotten older too, I've sort of realized that this movie is really interesting film about, I mean, this is a classic midlife crisis movie.
Yeah.
You know, this is a person who really feels unfulfilled, and that's something, if you're watching that as a guy, especially as a married guy or a father, that's a feeling that you can probably identify with to some degree. That's something a lot of men struggle with as they settle down, is this feeling of, it's not even really resentment of your family or your spouse, but there's this tiny degree of like, well, yeah, but if I had no attachments, what more could I be doing? You know, like what, you know, I really hate that they made all the superheroes go away. I could be helping people. We could be doing more. So when you have a character who longs for action and adventure like that, but also for the right reasons, like you couldn't blame Mr. Incredible throughout all this. You couldn't blame Bob for wanting to get out there, even though it put his family and their way of life at risk. Like, just he was a truly conflicted character, and I really sympathized with him. And I thought it was an incredibly complex and mature thing. Okay, let's go back down the list of Disney, and let's we'll say a little bit more about these movies as we go, since we're getting down the wire here. All right, so we got Lion King. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. So, all right. So for me, I have Lion King versus The Princess and the Frog. You have Lion King versus Lilo and Stitch.
So tell me what won out for you.
The Lion King.
Okay. Yeah. The Lion King won for me as well. Again, I love Lilo and Stitch, but Lion King I love.
Yeah, exactly. Lion King's gonna beat Princess and the Frog for me as well, just because again, it's just so much of a grander, more meaningful story. I think there's a lot more at stake than just you know, her restaurant and she wants to be human again, but this is like an entire kingdom, and this is avenging his dad.
You've got Nazi hyenas, Hooper.
Yeah, I know, right? The next matchup, we both have Tangled versus Moana. Mm-hmm. I had Moana emerging victorious here.
And I have Tangled emerging victorious.
Okay, so why Tangled over Moana?
I'm not a huge Moana fan. I think there's a couple of good songs, but I think Tangled has the better music. Sue me. I think that that Tangled's characters are more interesting. I think that the dynamic between Rapunzel and Eugene is, or Flynn, Ryder, is far more interesting than the dynamic between Moana and Maui. I think that the general plot of Tangled is more meaningful. I don't know. Yeah, I think Tangled is the better movie. I think it's yeah, I just think it's a better movie.
Can you believe
That's the worst review I've ever given. I just said I think it is because it is.
Well, it's subjective, and I mean, and we've sort of discussed the merits of both these films already. You know, it's tough to sort of go back through. Can you believe that for a second tonight we thought that if we can make this stretch to 45, we'll just do that? And
right, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh.
Okay, so I have Moana winning because I think the music Moana is better than Entangled. I love Tangled's music. I like their characters. I'm a lot more, I guess, invested and into the Moana story. I don't know if it's her and Maui. I don't know if it's because it's not a romantic movie that I can just focus a lot more on the other aspects of their relationship and there's no romantic tension. So maybe it's just because it gives me a different kind of thing, and it's a thing I guess I realized I like more. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Well, the next thing we've got, we have Aladdin. We both have Aladdin versus The Little Mermaid. This is a tough choice for a lot of people. These are both Alan Menken scores, I think. Yep. Both early 90s or late, I guess it's around the same era being made.
The Disney Renaissance.
We both had Aladdin winning out this.
Yeah. For me, that was an easy choice.
Yeah. Why? Because for me, it was. I guess I just as a kid, I watched Aladdin more. I just enjoyed Aladdin
I did too.
more.
And it may be that I, as a boy,
might be a gender thing.
I related. It probably is a gender thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I think just in general, Aladdin is a deeper story. It's about a flawed hero, whereas Little Mermaid's more about a naive hero.
Yeah.
And I think flawed heroes are more fun to watch because when you see them overcome their flaws, they become better heroes.
Yep.
Whereas naivete, you're naive until you learn, but when you learn, you're not necessarily better. You just know more.
No, I absolutely agree. There, as soon as Aladdin, and everyone has that low point, but like in this movie, it's Aladdin being stranded on that wherever the hell he is on that mountain far away, and he's telling Abu like, dude, I effed up so bad, and I should,
he doesn't say that, guys.
He's just like, I really screwed things up. How am I gonna fix it? And it's just like that's a character who realizes like his mistakes, and that's effective. Plus, there are no characters in Little Mermaid as memorable or as good as the genie.
Yes,
you gotta remember that.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, we both have.
You ain't never had a friend. Never had a friend.
No, man. We both have Mulan versus Beauty and the Beast now.
Yeah.
And we both have Beauty and the Beast emerging victorious here.
Yes.
Again, a pretty easy choice. I mean, Mulan's fine. It's better than Zootopia, but it's not going to be better than Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
For all the reasons we stated before. Just a better story. Okay. Let's go over to Pixar's next round.
Okay.
All right. We got. We both have Up versus Toy Story 2.
Yep.
And Toy Story 2 is the winner both times.
Yes. For both of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Up is a fine film, but Toy Story 2 just reached another level, I think.
Yeah, I think Up may have the deeper, dramatic low point.
Yeah.
But Toy Story 2 is more fun to watch.
It's more fun to watch, and it still explores these pretty deep themes. And
when somebody left.
Oh my God.
Oh no, I'm crying already.
When you've got a film like this that you're just in his relationship with Buzz, I mean, to have a character going, look, Buzz, you're my friend. I love all you guys. Like we're basically family. We grew up together. We're all in these toys. But to have Woody being smart enough and nuanced enough to go, but is it really best for me to stay with you guys? Like to have a character make a tough choice, like to put an audience through him going, I might not pick you guys. And because as a kid, I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like I was like, of course you go with your friends. But if you're Woody, it's like, I don't know, man. Like it's definitely a tough choice, but I'm gonna have it good in this museum, and that's really interesting and really compelling.
Yeah, it is.
All right, we've got Coco and Toy Story 3, and Toy Story 3 emerges victorious.
Yes, for the both of us.
Yes.
I think it's. Again, what more can you say about Toy Story 3? But I think part of it is that we were the age that we were
Yep.
when it came out, and we were the age that we were when the first two came out. And I think that ending tugs at heartstrings more than any movie on this list for me.
Yeah, man.
It's the only movie out of all of these that I've actually wept in the theater.
Yep.
I still here's the hypocriticalness of me is the hypocrisy of me is that I'm always talking about what movies are more fun to watch or rewatchable, and the truth is I don't watch Toy Story 3 a whole lot, and when I do, I tend to not watch the last part.
Yeah.
But man, is it just such a good movie?
Yeah, this is a really incredible film in all aspects. Character, story, direction, editing, the voice performances, plot, everything. It's got everything. It's adventurous, it's deep, it's heartfelt, it's funny. Yeah. It's got everything.
It does.
Okay, let's go to Ratatouille. For Dustin, Ratatouille versus Inside Out. And for me, Ratatouille versus Finding Nemo.
Yes.
So, all right.
So, what wins for you, Hooper?
So, for mine, Finding Nemo wins.
Okay.
So, interesting, because for you, Inside Out wins. So, either way, Ratatouille does not advance.
Doesn't advance. Ratatouille is a great movie.
Yeah.
For me, Inside Out, again, it's just the deeper movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the movie that adults and kids alike both get at different levels.
Yeah.
So for me, Inside Out wins.
Yeah. For me, Finding Nemo is literally the deeper movie. And it's also just, again, more fun to watch. There's just a lot more adventure, a lot more that's keeping me invested in the action and in the characters. Yep.
Right.
Is Nemo. Just,
sure.
Yeah. Much more fun. Okay. Yeah. You have Monsters, Inc. versus The Incredibles.
The Incredibles.
I have Cars versus The Incredibles.
And I'd wager that we both put The Incredibles moving
You
forward.
are correct.
Yes.
The Incredibles advances.
Yeah, The Incredibles is incredible. Monsters, Inc. is good, if not great. But, I'm sure for you, Cars doesn't reach the heights of The Incredibles.
No, Cars was a solid character exploration and a good thing. I don't base quality of films on this, but in terms of what you want to put in a kids movie, like what you want to normalize in a kids movie, I think normalizing humility is a pretty cool thing. It's also it also happens to be good for storytelling. But in terms of a film that's, again, more fun to watch, and you can still teach these complex themes to kids. Yep. Sorry, not even to kids, to audiences, just to display something like that, complex human emotion like that with a fun film. That's The Incredibles.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the, I guess the Elite Eight or whatever it is.
Yep.
Okay, for Disney, I have The Lion King and Moana. And you have The Lion King versus
Tangled.
Yes. All right.
So, what would you advance, Hooper?
I advanced Moana.
Okay. I advanced The Lion King.
Lots of I was my friends were not happy about this.
Okay. Well, tell me why you chose Moana over The Lion King.
I said something, and this isn't my biggest point, but I was like, in terms of like which story is more original, if you're going to have a characters realizing who they are, or realizing their purpose, or realizing their potential, whatever it is, realizing what they have to do for their people. And then that's sort of like a similar arc. They both got great music. And then I think I brought up the point, I was just like, Moana's just, maybe a more original storyline. And then someone's like, well, it's really an amalgamation of a lot of Polynesian and Islander stories kind of all mashed into one, and a little bit of Greek mythology. I was like, okay, well, The Lion King is Hamlet, and that's a lot more recognizable to American audiences than a bunch of Polynesian Islander stories.
Yes.
So that aside, I like Lion King just fine. It's obviously a great film.
Yeah.
I was just really thinking about trying not to let nostalgia for me get in the way, but I would just, when it came down to it, I always start with which one would I rather watch more. And I'd rather watch Moana. I'd rather pop Moana in. I've seen it countless times.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of those films that does not diminish upon multiple viewings. It gets better.
Yeah.
I just really love the music. I like Ali Carvalho's performance as Moana. I think she makes her a really authentic heroine. Again, I don't put a lot of value on this, but there's also the diversity factor. I like that she's a well-rounded, young girl who's not seeking a love interest, but not for any stupid reason like Frozen. She has a clear goal, and it's completely personal to her and to her family, to her kingdom. She has a job to do. And personal fulfillment comes from the job she has to do. I really like Moana. I do. And nothing against The Lion King, obviously.
No.
We know why it's great. And I think Moana, I just think it topped it. I do.
Okay.
Gotcha. The Lion King, it probably deserves the top spot on a lot of lists for a long time for me. And probably a few years ago would have won that area of this bracket. But, but
I think for me, The Lion King,
over Tangled, right?
Over Tangled is so
I would have picked The Lion King over Tangled, by the way, too.
Yes. So you're right. Like, The Lion King is Hamlet. But at the same time, for me, The Lion King is a true hero's journey. It's the story of a boy who has a destiny that he cannot wait to take on. Yeah. He's this young, sure of himself, I can do anything kind of character, who gets his butt handed to him when his dad dies, and he realizes that like I'm actually pretty powerless, and I'm actually pretty cowardly, and I'm actually not nearly as strong as I thought I was. And the shame and the guilt that drive him to leave his people and everything behind, I think, is a very human story of, when oftentimes when people are faced with, powerlessness or guilt or whatever the case may be, they tend to hide from the people that they love most, and so this is exactly what Simba does. He goes and he hides, and it takes a woman to help him realize his potential, and that you can't turn your back on the people that you love, and you can't run from the feelings that you have, and you have to be a man, and you have to take control, and you have to do what you have to do, and so Simba, runs back, faces the danger head on, for the good of his people. And I think for me, the story of a character who's sure of himself, is destroyed by guilt and comes back to overcome all of that, and be able to be the king that his father always knew he could be, to me is a story that's not only universal but incredibly important to instill in kids, that you can't let guilt, and you can't let fear, and you can't let the things that are trying to pull you down, and you have to take responsibility. And that final shot, there where it's not the final shot, but right there at the end when Simba walks in slow motion up Pride Rock, gets me every time, because more than Mufasa's death, this is the story of a boy who finally becomes a man. He's a lion, but you know what I'm saying. And so for me, that's infinitely more valuable than the story of a girl whose hair gets chopped off. I'm grossly oversimplifying that story too.
No, it's okay. Well, one more point about Moana, I guess, just because
Sure.
those are all very strong arguments for The Lion King. I think it comes down for me just a personal preference. I don't think I can argue the technical quality of Moana over.
No.
It really does come down to opinion for these films.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they both work for exactly what they're trying to do. Neither of them really have any story flaws to speak of. For Moana, I think the difference being. so for Simba, you have a character who's going to fulfill a destiny that he's always kind of had. And there's always the way, like once he became self-actualized, he would grow into this king. He would become fit for this role of king. Yeah. And I think I liked Moana because instead of her being fit to rule, especially essentially instead of her dad being right all along and she just had to learn he was right, there was a mixture of that with like, I think I know a better way, and everyone, and I think I know a different way. That and people aren't thinking of this. I think maybe part of me just identified a little bit with like, maybe the way y'all are doing it's not right. And there's a danger with that, I think, in movies, just to have another character go, well, let's just talk to the aliens instead and everything's fine. Like it was a very believable, like, you know, I guess you could argue it's a stupid, weak, dumb point for her dad to be like, we're not going to fish beyond the reef. It was like, are you serious? Like, how do you think we're going to survive? But I get it. So I understand it, especially when they explain what he went through, you know, but like, anyway, I guess I'm just saying, like, I sort of like that she doesn't grow into a role that was just waiting for her, not waiting for her, but a role that she was always meant to do. There was always like, there are a lot of ways to govern. How are you going to govern? Yeah. And I sort of like that she picked something that solved this problem, I guess.
Yeah. When you put it that way, it's not too dissimilar from T'Challa.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay. So now we have you have Aladdin. We both have Aladdin versus Beauty and the Beast. And Aladdin emerges.
Yes.
And that's another tough one.
Yeah.
You know, I think for me when it came down to it, just again, which one I'd rather watch. But I also thought like at this point, if I'm picking Beauty and the Beast, I feel like I'm picking the popular choice, the more sentimental choice. And this might be another gender thing where it's like I'd rather watch Aladdin, you know.
Could be.
But it's a more compelling romance story, I think. It's a more adventurous romance story.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think Aladdin's the better protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nothing against Belle, but I do think that again, it's almost naivete versus flawed again.
Yep.
And again, flawed wins.
Aladdin's defeating all these, all these. That's not how he's flawed.
Right. That's a different movie altogether.
Boo! She just looking at me funny. Oh
no. This is very bad, Aladdin.
Aladdin. What are you doing? Don't hit her. Stop it. Go away,
Al,
Genie.
Al, you can't do that.
Al, no, you can't do this, man. I'm telling you, you're gonna beat up on her like I turn her. Hey, what you doing? Mama, get out of here. Can you imagine? Can you imagine some animator?
Jafar does that all the time.
Can you imagine some animator having to draw the genie impersonating Ike Turner in a way that children would understand?
Oh, Lord.
Oh my God.
All right, so Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3, Hooper?
All right, Pixar. We got Toy Story 2 versus Toy Story 3. We have, again, picked the same. Toy Story 3 emerges. Boom. I imagine this was another tough choice.
Yeah, but I'm satisfied.
I am too. Again, I think that I was very literal when I said they improve upon each other. I mean, 2 was good, and when I walked into 3, I was like, I don't understand. This might be as good as 2, and it blew me away. It took it to another level. Instead of characters talking about their demise and thinking long term, they are now faced with it. It is imminent. Like the time has come. What are they going to do? And so they've moved on. There's no more like, what if Andy throws us out? They have to face the, albeit accidental, reality of being thrown out. And having to adjust to a new phase of their lives, and then ultimately meeting their end, you know. And when you talk about like the top 10 most emotional scenes in film, I really do think that the incinerator scene is definitely deserves a spot on that list. It is an incredibly well earned and deeply emotional moment.
Yep.
But
for me the bigger emotional moment, and that is for sure
Yeah.
one. But the bigger one is when Andy is taking the toys out of the box to give to Bonnie, and he reaches Woody.
Oh man.
That's the moment because she reaches for Woody and he pulls back.
Yep. Oh God.
And that's the moment when I was like, I can't hold it in.
Oh.
Just tears just streaming down my face.
Yeah, man. Both for sure. I think I have a soft spot for morbid solidarity. I like people. Sure. I like sort of like I'm about to die, and instead of freaking out and
let's go together.
I'm not necessarily I'm ready, but okay, like this is what's about to happen, and I'm gonna.
Yep.
You know, that's like a constant through line for lots of emotional films for me is typically when people are about to self-sacrifice, but even then when it's like the best thing I can do is you know, let's all take hands and just be here with each other. I just think that was incredibly emotional.
Yep.
So then we have, all right, you've got Inside Out versus The Incredibles.
Yes.
And I have Finding Nemo versus The Incredibles.
Yes. For me, The Incredibles moves on.
And for me, it does not.
Okay.
But as much as I've talked up The Incredibles, maybe it should have, but it just came down to more fun film. Although I will say The Incredibles, for all the deep and transcendent across age gaps reasons, it could have gone either way for me. I just picked Nemo.
Sure.
I'd rather watch Nemo, but
sure, no, that makes sense for me. You know, Inside Out is great, but there's just something about the style of The Incredibles. You know, we talked about it earlier, that retro kind of style that just speaks to me. So I got to move it on.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Okay, so that was the that was the Elite Eight. So now we're down to the Final Four.
Yep.
All right.
So Hooper, you have Moana versus Aladdin.
Yes. And you have Lion King versus Aladdin.
Correct.
All right. It looks... what?
Yep.
No.
And I was going to say, let's just go ahead and do our Pixar side too.
Okay. I got you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Toy Story 3 and Nemo, and Toy Story 3 versus
The
Incredibles.
Yep.
All right. So on the Disney side...
Yep.
For both of us, Aladdin does not advance.
Correct.
So I've got Moana going to the finals.
And I've got the Lion King in the finals.
Again, Aladdin, a valiant effort, but when you put it up against, you know, Moana or the Lion King, I think I think definitely it goes down. It's just those two movies are both on another level that Aladdin doesn't quite reach. There's an emotional resonance for me at least, for Moana and the Lion King that Aladdin doesn't quite hit. Aladdin stops kind of an emotional.
I'll say this: the reason Aladdin does not advance for me is its lack of emotion. Aladdin is a great film, but it's an action adventure movie.
Right.
It doesn't tell me anything deep other than arranged marriage sucks, which I already know.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. That Moana and Lion King, for me, both films go deeper into well, I guess a human, but, you know, complex emotions. And Aladdin stops at just being fun.
Yep.
And a little bit dangerous. On the Pixar side, for both of us, Toy Story 3 advances.
Yes. Toy Story 3 in the finals.
Again, for everything we just said. Just at an emotional level. I like that we both put value on that, it seems. Like, movies can be fun, but if you can be fun and emotional too,
then you've got the full package.
That's the full package. Then you're moving beyond average or pretty good films. You're going into great films.
And I think that's true for Lion King, for Moana, for Toy Story 3. Mm-hmm. They've got these emotional moments in there. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, they're just fun to watch. You know, anytime I Just Can't Wait to Be King comes on, or anytime you're watching them try to break out of Sunnyside Daycare, or anytime Lotso Huggin' Bear is on the screen, it's fun to watch. And you know, I just think that you're right. It's incredibly valuable if you can make me feel like I want to watch this, but I also am going to be torn to pieces by watching this.
Yeah. All right.
Finals.
Yes, finals.
I'm going to ask you, you ask me.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter who goes first, but Hooper, your matchup is Moana versus Toy Story 3.
Yes. And yours is The Lion King versus Toy Story 3.
Yes.
All right, Dustin. Who is your winner overall?
This is tough.
I could tell it was tough.
But The Lion King emerges victorious. And here's why. Because I'm not going to talk about nostalgia. I'm going to judge these films as films. For me, The Lion King is emotional. It is fun to watch, as we've already discussed. It's filled with great, memorable characters: Timon, Pumbaa, Zazu, Rafiki. But Toy Story 3 has all of those things as well. So what is it about the two movies that, if you have to draw a line, what draws you to the Lion King side? Well, for me, I think what draws me over there is the timelessness of the story. What draws me to that side is that this is a story that I would share with my kids first. Toy Story 3 would come later. This is a story that you can enjoy, I think, as much if you're 5 years old as if you're 55 years old. I think Toy Story 3, as good and profound and beautiful as that movie is, has more to say about letting go of your childhood, and a child isn't going to understand it. That's not to say they're not going to understand it. They're going to understand it, but they're not going to get the gut punch that I'm going to get by watching it. But an adult and a kid will both get a gut punch when Mufasa dies. And they'll both, I think, get these various gut punches. But what's great about it is there's a second gut punch, and I've already talked about it, and it's when Simba takes his place. And I don't think a kid's going to hit that as hard as an adult is, but that to me is what separates it, is that this movie is something that kids can enjoy and adults can enjoy. You can enjoy it on different levels, like I talked about with Inside Out. And it's something that is timeless, that will never go away. I mean, those Shakespeare stories are here, and they're here to stay, and they'll always be talked about. And Lion King is basically Hamlet, and I'll concede to that. But it is a brilliant retelling that I think will stand the test of time forever. And kids will be affected by it equally in the year it was released and 20 years from now. And I think Toy Story 3, as great as it is, will have to be viewed through the lens of the day in which it was created. And The Lion King does not have that.
All right. So for mine, Toy Story 3 beats Moana.
Okay.
I think that, I think Toy Story 3 has the whole package, and Moana does, but I think Toy Story 3 has it in greater density than Moana does. And, there's no music or anything, but I just think Toy Story 3, it's a great, it's a really good escape film. It's just a great, everything we already said about it. I think that, especially when you talk about moments that you earn between characters, especially with how well it handled character growth and maturation and change. I think while still remaining true to who those characters are, there was never a moment where anybody really did anything that I thought wasn't something that character would or should do. I think as much of what it captures about growing up and imagination and attachments and, from a human perspective, but also various stages of life. I mean, whatever Andy's going through, there's an element of an older stage of life that the characters are going through. Whether it's being replaced at your job, which is probably what the first film is about, and sort of, I guess the second film would be more about, well, where do you want to, I guess if you want to stay with jobs, with the job theme, it's, do you want a better job, or do you enjoy the people and the place you're at now? To sort of, I don't want to oversimplify, I guess, but then just within this motif. But the third one being, how and when do you want to retire? Like, how do you want to spend the rest of your life?
Right.
For the toys, and of course for Andy, it's just a lot more like, I'm a little boy, I'm kind of an older boy. Well, now I'm becoming a man, and I have no need for these things, or do I? I really enjoy, as a young man myself, seeing all that displayed in a way that means something to me. And I think it beats Moana. I can't really say much more why it beats Moana. It just does. It's so much more meaningful, I guess, to me personally than Moana is. I think it's just the themes are deeper. Moana, there's self-actualization, all that for Moana, and the themes that I really identify with. But when it comes to like the depth of topics and of emotions that go into the story, Toy Story 3 is a lot more about. There's just a lot more at stake. There's a lot more potential loss. And they balance this tone of fun moments with this really overarching feeling of like, this is very serious though. And I think balancing all that tone and wrapping up the way they did, there's a lot that could have done wrong with this movie, and a lot that you could nitpick about it. And there's nothing wrong with this film. It's perfect.
No, it is. At this stage in the finals, it's sort of a crapshoot. It's tough. It's like I like them both so much. That's why they're here.
Yep.
It could go either way, and I think it's the same way anytime you have a tournament. By the time you get to the finals, both teams have proven themselves to be good. The best of the best, and so. It can go either way, and it can go either way without warning, and it can go either way without reason. And so, but I think we've both settled on something that, what means the most to us, and, what we put value on in our films that we critique. And,
All right.
I think we did a good job.
I think that it was pretty solid choices. There's a lot of them that we were very in lockstep on, and then a couple a couple of differences that really rippled later on.
Yes.
Especially the Lion King upset on my bracket.
Yep. I'd be interested in hearing what your wife would put as the number one, because I made mine do it.
I did. Ooh.
I don't want to say made, but
fill this out, wife.
But I just sat there and read them to her, and she was like, boom, boom, boom. It took 60 seconds. She did gut reaction.
Okay.
So
interesting. I should speed around my wife too.
Yeah. That sounds way worse than what you intended it to say. Oh man, I was like, do I say anything about what he just said, or do I not?
No, I was looking right at my camera. I was hoping you would.
What you do with your wife is between you and your wife, Hooper.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Fish.
Thank you, Fish.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her. I did ask her if she might fill one out. I think she either said she already did or she never would. Those are very different possibilities.
One of those two, yeah. Sure.
One of those things. Gotcha. So I'll ask. If nothing else, I'll. By the time people listen to this, I will be back from my California trip. So I will maybe try to ask her on the plane or something. Like, all right,
okay,
pick one. Tell me why.
Yep. Yep.
This would be fun. I should do one first with for what her picks would be, and then compare them.
What you think they would be?
Yeah, kind of do the Newlywed Game version of this bracket.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, guys, we went kind of long here, obviously, because you're not used to this, but
Right.
yeah, that was fun, Dustin.
That was fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, again, SoundCloud people, go over to YouTube. YouTube people, check out SoundCloud if either of you have a need for a slightly different medium. And other than that, you can catch us back here where you're listening or watching us. Well, I guess next week you could catch us.
Yeah.
Once you're hearing this, the week following that. So
yes.
Anyway, thanks for watching and listening. And we will see you guys later. Have a good weekend. Go out and see some good movies. Maybe see some of these movies if you haven't already. Fill out your own bracket. I'd really be curious to see if anybody had thoughts on our picks or had different winners, vastly different winners. I'd kind of be shocked, honestly, if Lion King didn't make it to the top of at least that area. I can see why other films might have beaten out in the lower right Pixar quadrant. I'd be hard pressed to see if anyone had all three Toy Stories going down before the semifinals. And as for the lower left quadrant, that's a little bit of a crapshoot as well. I'd be interested to see if people thought Beauty and the Beast would make it out of there.
All I have to say is if Frozen is in your final two, you're wrong.
I don't want to be friends with you.
You're wrong. If Nightmare Before Christmas, I haven't even seen it, but if it's in your top two, you're wrong as well.
Yeah.
So
or Hercules.
Guys. Yeah, or Brave.
Yeah, or Brave. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know. I'm curious how other people voted. So I'm gonna see. If I can
No,
find
obviously
that
there
out.
are no wrong answers, but
Yes, there are.
but Frozen's wrong.
There are much less right answers.
Right.
Much less.
Yes.
All right, guys.
All right.
Have a good one. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.